Yes, thank you so much. Once again, you're all welcome to the Day 2 International Development with 2023 panel session organized by the Black Business and Professional Network New Brunswick. It is my pleasure to have you all here today as we focus on education of the youth and how they can be empowered in leadership, in business, and in careers. It is very important for us to know that the International Development Week for 2023 has the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 17 as an area of focus. Hence, we're here today to engage in critical discussions on how we can create a more equitable and just world for the future generations. As we all know, the youth are the future generations. Our speakers here have come from different and diverse background and field of expertise. And as we look forward to learning from each other and sharing our ideas, I hope that we keep an open mind. I encourage us to be respectful of each other's opinion and actively participate in this discussion, because it is an opportunity for us to build a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to creating a better world for everyone. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize the generous support of the Atlantic Council of International Cooperation, ACIC, and the Global Affairs Canada for making this event possible. Their contributions have been instrumental in ensuring the success of this panel session, and we are grateful for their continued support. I would also like to note that the Black Business and Professional Network New Brunswick Incorporated is a proud member of the Atlantic Council of International Cooperation. It is a coalition of individuals, organizations, and institutions that are committed to global cooperation and social justice. ACIC continues to work to promote sustainable development, human rights advocacy, peace, both domestically and across the globe. And we are honored to be part of this network of dedicated and passionate individuals. Thank you once again, ACIC and Global Affairs Canada, for your sponsorship. We look forward to continue to work together to create a just and more equitable world. I will not fail to recognize the contribution and support of our special guests who have taken time out of their busy schedule to come here today to share, to give, and also to encourage parents, youth, and even young generation alike to see reason in what their interests are and to take action to allowing themselves to journey on that path of self-discovery, empowerment for a greater tomorrow. You're welcome once again, everyone. We thank you as you keep an open mind in learning, and we hope you have a productive and insightful day. It is on this note, I would like to invite one of the Teddy Buffer, if she's in here, if she's around now, to share with us briefly what ACIC does. If not, we can always come back to her. Let's see if she's around. Okay, she's not yet around. Then I'll call on our very first speaker, Bernie Uche. I'll just do a brief introduction and then you will take the floor. 1 minute, please. Permit me to share my screen as we introduce Bernie Uche. Experienced customer-focused technology advisor, having spent time at major technology players, including Google, IBM, and now Slalom Consulting. Teaching is another passion of Bernie's, having taught digital transformation in George Brown's College's continuing studies program, and currently teaches technology sales part-time at Uvero. He is also the co-founder of Black Mentorship in Technology, a nonprofit that aims to improve technology awareness and increase Black participation in tech sector. Welcome, Bernie. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to connect with you, and we appreciate it. Please take the floor. And I would encourage that we all keep our audio muted, our microphones muted. Thank you, Bernie. Over to you.
So thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you for having me. It's always wonderful when you get to speak to people about youth empowerment, and about the community that we're all part of. So I'm really honored to be here, and thank you once again. When I got the invitation to speak today, it really hit home with me because I get to share the message of what we do and what we need to do as a community. And as I said, I've been in tech for 11 years now, and I have personally seen the benefits of being in the industry. What it has done for myself and my family is something that I don't ever take for granted. And when I think about the choices that I could have made along the way and the choices that I did make as a youth, it made me realize that tech is such a wide-ranging set of industries, tools, techniques, processes, roles, that it really encompasses everything that we touch and everything that we breathe. And how can I not do the work to promote that to our youth? So let's talk about what that means. And let me share a screen with you. So let me start here and then work my way up. So what we've seen is that when we look at the Black population in Canada, we are about 3.5% of the population of Canada, something like that, as of 2019. Black representation in tech itself is 2.6%. We're under indexing in that number. When you look at other racialized groups, and we'll take two examples, we look at East Asian and South Asian, they're about 5% of the population each, but they're actually at 10% of the tech representation in the tech workforce. The Black community is missing a trick somewhere. There are many reasons for that, for which we don't have to get into. But the fact is that we're missing something, and it's a gap that we absolutely need to work together to close. And why do I say that it's something that we need to work together to close? When you look at those two groups that I just mentioned, and look at the economic prosperity that has occurred in India and in many parts of Southeast Asia, a lot of that has been due to expansion in their economy, yes, in manufacturing, but a lot of that, maybe even most of it, has come in the last couple of years, the last decade or two, because of the influence of technology in those economies. When you look at the boom of software development that has hit India over the last 2 decades, it's been immense, to the point that every single company that we know, all of the major brands that we know of, have big offices over there. The outsourcing market is huge over there. And the number of billionaires in both regions has skyrocketed, a lot of those due to tech. And you look at, in India, the IIT, Indian Institute for Technology, it's a huge, we call it a huge mechanism for the development of technology leaders. You only have to look at the CEO of IBM, the CEO of Google, the CEO of Microsoft. Those are just a few examples, and these are the biggest companies in the industry. And if you actually go look at big tech companies and look at the ones that are doing big things, you're going to see a lot of those leaders are from that particular region. That tells you that there's a funnel, that they saw something. And they started by empowering their youth. They didn't go to the current generation or the old generation and go, hey, let's, reskill all of you, which is a good thing to do, absolutely. But that wasn't the core idea. It was, we need to strategically build a funnel, and that funnel will keep regenerating, and it becomes this loop where you build leaders young in the industry, they grow, and then they groom the next generation, and the cycle continues and continues and continues. You now build up an entire community that is tech savvy and tech able. It's amazing what you can do. It's to lift people out of poverty when you do something like that. And that, when you think about the African situation, that's a model that I would encourage anyone to copy. But even if we take it at a micro scale and look at Canada today, we know the challenges that impact our community. And a lot of the time, the conversations are not around things that we see externally that have helped to resolve that, or at least to make a positive impact. There are lots of other discussions that are had, but there are very few around how to enable the youth to become participants in the industry. And that's what we're hoping that we can galvanize people today, tomorrow, and for years to come to help resolve. And then the question that people ask a lot of the time is, well, what is tech? And do we even want to get into this, right? And you think about that, and a lot of people, you go back to the Industrial Revolution and all sorts of technological advancements, right? But in this context, we're talking about the use of technology via software and hardware innovations to boost productivity and boost business and impact social life. But what I just said there encompasses everything that you touch. So when I talk to the youth and they go, I don't know how to code, and I go, I don't either. But I'm a cloud computing consultant at a major technology consulting firm. I've worked at Google. I've worked at IBM. The startup I worked at was acquired by Google. I have written lines of code that I copied from templates, but no one knows that I don't know actually how to code myself. I will never lie and say I know how to do that. So what we try and help people understand is that you don't need to learn how to code to be empowered by technology and to develop yourself and your community. You can, I teach at Uvaro, so I teach technology sales. All these people who build these solutions need to sell them. You cannot have a business without someone to sell your product. And sales can come in multiple ways. It can come in pure, revenue generation. It can come in partnerships building. People don't understand that building partnerships is the same techniques you use to sell. It's exactly the same thing. It's areas like customer success, solution engineering, even parts of marketing. There's a close liaison between that and sales. So you look at graphic design, people who are artistically inclined. A lot of the marketing materials that you see are created by marketing and graphic designers. So you might be fine arts inclined. Tech is, you can do that. There are companies that build solutions to help you do your designs digitally, right? Finance, people who are into finance. Fintech is a big deal now, right? You can't go anywhere in the world without talking about fintech. It's absolutely impossible at this point. And we don't even want to talk about crypto, right? So I could go on and on and on, but being in the tech sector does not mean that you're limited to coding and development. It actually is everything. And we're going around telling these kids today, have you thought about this? And most of them will say no, because they have this traditional way of thinking that it's all about code. And we're saying it doesn't have to be that way. It is everything and anything under the sun. I was talking to a student, and this student said to me, I'm really curious about tech, but I really am interested in law. And I go, well, that's great. Because the legal tech sector has been booming recently. There's a company called Clio. I'm sure everyone has seen them on LinkedIn, and they have grown exponentially. There's I think it's called Zoom Legal or Legal Zoom. Sorry, that is a company that helps people with legal paperwork through software as a service. You don't have to take what you're passionate about and rip it away and believe that it's not part of the technology ecosystem. It actually will need it. So we're going around to schools and saying, we parents, allies, partners, the technology industry can help our community in many, many ways. It can help build discipline through training and certifications and boot camps. The simple fact that you can empower youth now to follow their dreams and achieve their passions and build things that they're passionate about and keep them out of the dangerous path is incredibly important. I have kids who are interested in social justice or criminal justice, I apologize. And we've figured out you can build applications and websites that help kids understand what activities are out there for them to do so they're not wasting their time on the street. And these are 16-year-old kids who are thinking about these solutions. And I think more so than us and the generation above us, these kids are living this stuff day to day. Who better to go to and work with directly to solve these problems? So that's what we're trying to do. And that's what I'm trying to get other people to look at and to work with us to help build out. So I want to share one more thing with y'all, if you don't mind. Let me get out of here. So there are a couple programs that we've been working on that help with this. So the first being, and let me go into this mode, is the Rising Star program. So this is a program that Black Mentorship and Technology is run in collaboration with RBC Futurland and the Athlete Technology Group. We ran it as a pilot last year, and we now have funding for 2 more years, and it's a nationwide program. What we do, we take 30 students, we pair them with a mentor, and we put them in workshops every month. So it ran for 9 months, this next one will run for about 6. And we put them through workshops on design thinking, UX, tech entrepreneurship, software development, digital marketing. We did a video game design workshop, which was awesome. Sort of general IT from networking to storage and compute, hardware and robotics, data and privacy, and we did communication and presentation skills. The idea is that by the time that this is done, they have a holistic understanding of the tech ecosystem. They get access to mentors who are in the industry for networking purposes. We have internship partners who look for the best students to get them internships, for which RBC did. And they do a group presentation at the end, which helps determine their scholarship that we grant them at the end. And to buttress the point, the group projects that we had them working on were communal problems. And we said, here are some problems that we see in our community. Can you build something or develop something that can help address these? And we said, we're just going to leave it open and not be prescriptive, let your creativity flow. And we had some wonderful ideas come out of that. One being this mental health app called Mellow. And it's an app that you can go to for resources, both connections to therapists and professionals, but also articles and videos and other resources to help you on your mental health journey. But a lot of it was specific to the Black community. Now, they only prototyped it, so it's not widely available, but I hope that they see this through. But the design and thinking of it was fantastic. And this other group built a Slack bot called Resource ASK. So everyone's talking about ChatGPT and all this stuff, and that's great. And these kids did something a little bit like that a year before, but specifically with the context of bringing people like you access to resources that will help you understand how to build a business, where to get funding, who to talk to for advice, all those types of programs that are geared specifically to the Black community to help us from an entrepreneurship journey. It was an AI bot that was giving you that information. And when we saw this in action, it was demoed in front of a panel of myself, some venture capitals, Drake's producer, OVO40, and a bunch of other people. And I saw their jaws drop because these were 15 to 16-year-old kids that actually built it. This was not a prototype, they built it. And that told me 2 things. We need to continue this path of empowering the youth because the power in their minds is amazing. But also more specifically, we need to empower our girls because the top 3 developers in the program were girls. And I didn't know that. We didn't look for that. It wasn't something that we tried to push through. It just came out of it naturally. And that said to me, opportunity isn't equal. And we need to ensure that opportunity is equal. So we also have another program called the Young Black Entrepreneurs in Action Pilot, where we're doing a similar thing with the Peel District School Board and 30 students who have business ideas. We give them mentors and they get seed funding from the government to see their business idea through and they present it. And if this is successful, it will become a national program, not just in Ontario, this will become a national program. So if anyone wants to help volunteer as a mentor or an advisor to any of these kids in any of the programs that we're in, please go to blackmint.io, that's blackmint.io, and sign up to be a mentor. and volunteer, please. These programs can be national and can be extremely helpful. And I wanted to show you this because in the black and white image, these are some of the kids that we worked with that built these applications that I talked about. And the work that we do to empower them will uplift this community. And I'm really excited for the future that they are going to create with all of our help. So that's Black Mints. That's how I believe that we can empower youth through technology. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free.
Thank you so much, Bernie. I just say it's really a wonderful time. You've really given us all that we need to know. And now the ball is in our court to ask questions. Please leave your message and leave your comments in the chat box, or you can raise your hand if you have any questions to ask Bernie directly. And like we said, the Rising Star Project is coming through next month. For the Atlantic, we're looking to have mentors, work to get this project to our region, as Black Mint is looking to work with us in the Atlantic session to reach out to our youth, because we know that we have those youth that are talented in our community. So please, opportunity to ask questions before we move it on to the next speaker. Anyone, please?
What was the name of that chat bot that the young people developed?
Oh, it's called Resource ASK. So I'll put it in the
Resource ASK. That's
yes.
neat. That was a really neat story.
Yeah, and I forgot to add as part of that story that there is the incubator called DMZ, and as in fact the most important part of the story. How could I miss that? So they presented in front of them, and they pitched to join their Basecamp program. They were accepted as the youngest startup in the DMZ Basecamp. And they won a $5,000 grant for best, I can't remember what, I think best youth, like young startup or something like that. So they won money for that based on what they've done. And all of them now have internships, I think at RBC and another place. So you have these 16-year-old founders who are working with an incubator next to other startups, which was really humbling to see the success of that.
Very cool.
Okay, any other question? So if you have any other question, please feel free to follow Black Mint, reach out to our project coordinator Ovunda Green on info@bbpn.ca. We have also a particular form, web form that we can send out for people who are looking to become mentors in data science and all that. We've shared that information before. We're going to reshare the information again. But feel free to also connect with the team at Black Mint directly. Reach out to them, because it's all about making sure that we all come out there to, properly lead by showing example of leadership to these our youth. Because if they are watching us, right? So we want to leave, a remarkable impact for them to also take that lead, and hone their journey, as you as parents have done that. So in the absence of any other question, thank you so much, Ebenezer. Is this a question? Okay, somebody asked a question, and I would like to throw this open, because I know I can see some tech persons, even in New Brunswick. What local strategies can we adopt to foster the development of tech skill across New Brunswick? That's a question. And I think this is an open one, unless Bernie, as an expert, has information for us. I'm still learning. He's actually my boss. We used to work together somewhere before, and he was even the one that encouraged me to continue on this journey of BBPN when I reached out to him in 2020, Black History Month, where we're having in IBM, ACBN. And, he talked about this project, and I reached out to him. I sent him a DM, and he was like, you know what? It's going to be a long journey, but keep at it. And when I finally found my voice and my feet, I ran back to him. I said, Bernie, I'm ready. And it was like, we're ready to support. So thank you once again. I think I really need to give you your flowers now for encouraging and for pushing. So can you give us like a local strategy to adopt to foster development of tech across New Brunswick from your perspective?
I think, and that's a great question. I think it's twofold. Firstly, it's to go to the schools and try and understand what is in their curriculum, right? Because when you understand what's in the curriculum, and you can take that to a person like myself, I have no problem if you tell me, hey, look, this is what they're teaching our kids. What do you think about it? I will give you my honest opinion on whether or not it's relevant to what they're going to do in the future. For instance, kids are not learning anything about the cloud. And I tell myself, no, we were in that industry, and even in university, not learning anything about that. So you come out of university and then you're supposed to just go work for a cloud company. Doesn't make any sense. So I think holding the boards accountable for what they're teaching is important, but there are organizations like Black Boys Code, Black Girls Code, that do summer boot camps. Put your kids in those boot camps. Again, I said you don't have to learn how to code. That's absolutely correct. But at an early stage, it's at some point in the future, it's going to be like math and English, where it's going to be a core course that people are going to learn. Whether they're good at it or not is a different thing. But try and put your kids in those programs and reach out to us at Black Men's, and we can see how we can help bring programs locally. For instance, the Rising Star program I mentioned is a national program that is going to be running for the next 2 years. And further than that, as long as we keep getting funding. So when you see that posting go up, or the press release go up, get your kids to apply to that. Reach out to us about it. If you want to have a workshop done on the ground in the Atlantic, please let us know. We work with Venice Solutions on an Excel 101 workshop in Toronto, in their offices. We're working with TD Bank on something similar, working with a bunch of companies through their employee resource groups. And what that means is a lot of your companies will have resource groups specifically for Black people and Black people's interests. And they're looking for projects and looking how to help the community. Suggest to your ERG, hey, there's a group called Black Men, here's what they're doing. Let's work with them to bring some programs to our youth, and you can volunteer and do that. ERGs are brilliant, they already exist, and tapping into that is a real big way to help propagate the tech message.
All right, thank you. And it's really important that you mentioned the Black Boys Code. We recall at the early stage of BBPN, as we reached out to you, we reached out to Black Boys Code. As at that time, the Halifax option of Black Boys Code was already experiencing some issue. And thankfully, with the support of BBPN, we're able to bring the Black Boys Code back to the Atlantic. And our chapter leader is Tosin Ajibola, also being nominated. We volunteered that he should lead that chapter because he's a persona of a Black professional and a Black entrepreneur. And Segun Ajibade, Oluwatoyin Ogunade, and some other mentors are the one assisting our boys in that area. So, and I think I can just quickly call them to speak for 30 seconds, briefly about the Black Boys Code experience of some of the youth in New Brunswick, because there are a lot of those boys from New Brunswick, so to say, but we're covering Atlantic. Can we have Toyin or Ebenezer to quickly say something within 1 minute to 30 seconds? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. First of all, thank you for taking time to kind of, give this very awesome presentation. I'm just going to turn on my camera in a minute. Apparently, it's been very impactful, and I think I like all of the the facts and figure that you kind of put forward as well. And at the same time, I just want to say that, for them to be able to have that skill is important. And I think in line with what Olaiton just mentioned, the boys at Black Boys Code are taking this opportunity to kind of learn a lot. And the fact that it's something they can relate to and can apply. We have a lot of young boys who really love to play a lot of games. And sometimes I know parents kind of, see it as something that is negative. But I say to them, if your boys love to play games, trust me, put them in Black Boys Code. They are going to be able to gain the skills, and they are going to be able to use this, going forward. So I think it's an opportunity for them to kind of really develop, learn the right skills, jump in there and be in the face of tech, and of course, be able to kind of have that kind of impact overall. So I think we're doing an excellent job. It's not so easy, but of course we're making giant strides as well. So I'll take this minute to say thank you everyone for joining as well. And I'll turn it over to you, Eliza. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Without further ado, we will go to our next speaker. She's going to share perspectives on youth engagement development, what is missing, what are you doing to change things in your community? Pure Good Foundation, over to you. We will just put up your introduction right away. Please bear with me. I'm going to have this. Yeah, Faith Ashogbo is a coach and an HR professional focused on youth and women coaching. Our work over the years span across developing youth learning curriculum for youth-based educational organizations and foundations. Our work with youth has been leveraged by both non-governmental and private sector organizations. She's a seasoned human resources professional with over 15 years of experience. Welcome, welcome, Faith. Over to you. Let's talk about your perspective on youth developments and how it can actually impact global development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elijah. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Just want to be sure everybody can hear me. Okay. Elijah, thank you so much. I want to use this medium to thank the organizers of this wonderful event and also the sponsors, ACIC, and then the Global Affairs Canada. For me, this program is I'm very passionate about it because it tells us how important youth are to the community and then to the global world. So once again, I say thank you for having me. And I want to also thank the first speaker, Benny. That was awesome. I know I have a couple of questions, but maybe I'll reach out to you because of our time to ask it. Like when you talked about law and technology, I know my son had told me he wants to study law. And I said, okay, I like law, but I also like IT. And he's like, Mommy, how do I use law and IT? So when I heard you talk about the legal aspect of technology, that sounds something awesome for me. So thank you, everyone. I've been introduced. I'm just a very passionate social entrepreneur. And what are my passions? My passion is to see the next generation become leaders, become people of integrity, become people who are mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually sound. My goal is to ignite light in the minds of youth so that they are able to go get the goals. Like our team saying, go get the goals. And one of the goals that we're looking at is eradication of poverty. So poverty for me is not just the money, it's not just the wealth, it's also the place of the mind. So when the mind of our youth is not nourished, like when it's lacking the right and the vital nutrient, it becomes poor. And when it is poor, what happens to it? The mind cannot produce. It can be productive. It can be creative. It cannot be innovative. And that is where the problem starts from. So our world starts from the mind, from the way we think, is our mindset. So what we do in Pure Gold is to nourish the minds of our youth, is to nourish the way that they think, is to give them the right nutrient so that what happens? So they're able to be productive, they're able to be creative, they're able to go get the goals. And one of the goals that we're looking at is economic development. And so in Pure Gold, we're like, how do we develop our economy? How do we develop our society? I always tell people, let's look back at in Canada. So in Canada, one of the strategy in economic development, it's immigration, bringing immigrant to Canada so that this economy can be sustained, so that the economy can be developed, right? And if I ask most of my fellow Black community, why are you in Canada? I hear people tell me, oh, because of my children. I want to give them the right education. I want them to feel okay, which is very, very, very correct. But when we get into Canada, what happens? How because when we come to Canada, most of the thing is focused on ourselves. How do we get the job? How do we make the money? How do we make this? Unless it's centered on the youth. But I tell you for sure that the youth, they need to get involved, because in my previous interactions with the youth, especially in Pure Gold, when we started in 2020, we have 3 youth in our programs. And when we communicate with them, like, why are you in Canada? I don't know. My parents just brought me here. We have that kind of conversation. And then, okay, are you happy? Most of them feel okay. No, they don't have the self-confidence to be able to approach the challenges around them. So that is one of the major problems. And okay, we are now looking, how do we get this done? How do we now achieve the goals? How do we get the economy sustained when our youth are not engaged, when they are disconnected from the reality? You get it? And that is how Pure Gold, what we do is we begin to teach transformative mind teaching. And the goal is to empower the mindset of a youth, the mindset. How do they think? How do they think about themselves? Because when you begin to think about yourself as being valuable, when you begin to think about yourself as being, I can get the goals, I can make it. When your mental health is well, the mental health is not depression. And because of this, like, I'm going to give a little bit statistics. I was reading like a documentary, and was showing statistics saying an estimated number of 10 to 20 Canadian youth are affected by mental illness or disorder. And then we have 12 to 19 years of old in Canada at the risk of developing depression, and that number is 3.2 million. Mental disorder among youth are ranked as the second highest hospital care expenditure in Canada. So when we have our youth who are 3.2 million, what happens to economic development? And these youth are very core part of those who will develop the economy. Why? So in Pure Gold, what we do is to reach out to the minds of our youth, to help the mindset, to help their mental health, to help their mental mind to be what? To be productive, to be creative, to be innovative. And how we go about this, we have 3 framework. We are looking to empower our youth with the right mindset. We are looking to empower our youth to be people who are mentally stable. We are looking to empower our youth to be people who are emotionally stable. We are looking to empower our youth to be people who are morally stable so that they can get the goals. And we have 3 frameworks. Our first framework in Pure Gold is the mind work. So in the mind work, we try to bring out the negativity with our youth have. Some of our youth have a very a negative mindset of, I can't do it. It is not for me. This thing, how do I get it done? People don't even listen to me. So we're trying to tell them that you can get the right mind by teaching them values, by teaching them transformative teachings in our bi-weekly classes. So we have bi-weekly classes in Pure Gold every second Saturday. We come together and then we teach the youth. And our service, like I forgot to tell you, is from 10 years to 20 years, 20 years. And so that's one of our strategy where we work on the mind, how you can value yourself. And we always tell our youth that you are royals. Like if you ask our youth in our community, who are you? They tell that I'm royal, because it's self-identification. So we make them to identify with values. We make them to identify with what? With leadership, make them to identify with things that resonates with them. So that's one. And then in the mind, in our mind work, we also teach them affirmation, because we believe that the more positive things you say about yourself, the more you become what you say. So we begin to tell them, okay, this is affirmation. This is who I am created to be. I can get the goals. And so these are things that nourishes their mind. These are things that replaces the mind with, okay, I think I can do it. Okay, I can do above this. Okay, I can go get this. And we do that. And one of the things, again, we do in our bi-weekly teachings, because we know that kids, youth generations, our Gen Z generations, are very conversant with influentials. Okay, I want to be associated with, well, how many followers do you have? How many followers do I have? Technology. So we get people who are very influential in our classes to come talk to them, people who believe in values, people that they can look onto, people that they want to learn from them. Like in last month, we got the Nigerian Most Beautiful Girl who won, just became the Most Beautiful Girl in 2022. So she came in and told them, okay, this is how I got this, and it was something that they were so excited about. And so one of the things I see that my time, I don't have a lot of time. One of the things again that we do in Pure Gold is a brain walk. So in our brain walk, we let the kids to be productive. We give them projects, and they look at the project, they think about it, so they're able to think and they're able to work out. And the other thing we do is the power mind, because we are raising the next generation leaders. We want to raise people of integrity, we want to raise people of good characters, and we try to bridge the gap with our community leaders. So we have events where we bring in our youth and the community leaders together where they can discuss. In all of this, what we're trying to do is to answer a very critical question that our youth has been asking us. And one of the questions is, I need a safe place. How do I get a safe place where I can express myself without fear of being judged or fear of being criticized? So in Pure Gold, we have created a safe community of over 80 youth who have a safe place that they can express themselves without fear of being criticized or without fear of being judged. We have also created a place where our youth are able to, they can feel them, where they feel, okay, I have a sense of belonging, where they want to be heard, because one of the things that puts youth into depression is because they are not heard. So we want youth to be heard. So in Pure Gold, our youth speak. They want to speak, they want to be heard, they want to express themselves. And this is what we have done over the years in Pure Gold. And so I just want to use the opportunity to call on all our parents to how do you support us? We, in our biweekly classes, we need volunteers who teaches all our class. So you can follow us on social media. You can follow us. You can help join join our volunteer team. You can also support us financially, because we're planning for a camp in July, and it will cost us, like everything we've done in Pure Gold so far. We don't have funding for this. We do it out of our passion. We do it because we need to get our children involved in the community. We need to get our children to get the goals. We need to get our children to become the next future generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate. I would just recommend that we keep our questions in the chat box while we introduce our next guest, Clinton Davies, so that by the time Clinton is done with his presentation, we would have opportunity to field more questions in. So I would like to introduce our next guest, Clinton Davies, an entrepreneur raised in Toronto with roots in Jamaica and Prince Edward Island. He relocated to New Brunswick in 2009 with a strong belief that the people of color, with a strong belief that people of color needs to support, work together, and collaborate. He is passionate about evoking change in the community that he is part of. In 2023, just recently, we have celebrated as Clinton was honored to be voted CBC's top 20 Atlantic Canadian changemakers. Clinton co-runs Black Atlantic Media, podcast, and other businesses, partners with various organizations, CBC, Rogers TV, Prude Inc., CHMA, Tribe Network, and more. He's also one of the lead mentor for the Black Startup Project. You forgot to add it here, I have to say, thanks for all you do, Clinton. I know you also volunteer with the New Brunswick Education Department. Clinton wants to see a more equitable future for all. And that's why I think he's another best person for the education piece of our youth. And that's why we have him today to speak. You're welcome, Clinton. Over to you. Thank you.
Hello. Can everyone hear me okay? Just a little nod would be great. Okay, amazing, perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me on today. It's definitely been inspiring and insightful listening to the first two presenters, Bernie and Faith. I will speak a little bit about what I do with Black Atlantic and with education and such like that, but also I've been a business owner for the past 10 to 12 years, and I just want to build on some of the things that Bernie and Faith said as well regarding youth and employment, economic development, and poverty and such like that, because all throughout society, you hear a lot of talk today about the youth don't want to work, people don't want to work, and stuff like that. There's all these jobs out there. In every industry, people are struggling to find employees and they can't. And they chalk it up to saying that people don't want to work anymore. Well, I certainly don't think that's true at all. I think what's true is that youth don't want to work in the traditional way that work has been looked at. You know, working 40 hours a week, with only 2 weeks off a year, no days off, heavily taxed, mostly to pay for, you know, our more senior people's pensions, while also knowing that they may never be able to afford a house. None of that is appealing to young people. What young people want to do, I believe, in terms of employers looking to employ people, is they want to work for a company for the purpose of contributing to a project that is greater than them, for the not necessarily just for money, but to feel like they're a part of something, whether that be a salon or a retail store or a tech company or even in a grocery store. They just want to be more involved, to feel like they're a part of the decision making, day-to-day engagement and stuff like that. And I think if employers looked at employees more like that, embodying work-life balance, allowing team members to have days off for mental health days, understanding that it's about coming to work. It's not necessarily meant to be fun, but it should be more purpose-driven. So as a business owner, I've owned a salon, spa, and a retail store for about going on 11 years now. And I've employed people from about 30 different countries and of all ages. And that's what I've found the most. Like, we don't do a seniority-based employment, and we have to treat every employee a bit different, but it's basically based on performance and commission and zeroing in on what their particular goals are and why they want to work, which I found really helps get better results out of people. Now, regarding media and entrepreneurship and education, my partner and I, with running Black Atlantic, we were only 1 year in. We just actually February 1st separated our 1-year anniversary. And similar to you, Faith, this has all been out of pocket. You know, we don't have any solid sources of revenue coming in or anything like that. But we have applied for grants, and hopefully we're waiting to see if we get that. And if we do, one of our main goals is to empower youth through forms of media, like to engage their minds with content creation, creating blogs, creating video presentations, creating the things that AI's been around for a long time, but now it's really trending right now, the threat and the fear of AI and robots replacing everything we do. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. But we are trying to engage people's minds. We see a lot of grants out there for people looking to start businesses and entrepreneurship. I will just talk about that for 1 minute in a second. But we are trying to encourage people to, you know, use their voice, speak out about social issues, try to make change, to try to affect change in the world. Young people, while they still don't have maybe experience or social skill sets or stuff like that, they are definitely some of the most informed people that there has ever been in the history of humankind. They have access to every little bit of information, right from the 5-inch screens on their phones. And while they may spend a lot of time watching reels, they're really accustomed to getting short tidbits of information. So they really do know a lot. So what we're trying to do is empower young people through Atlantic Canada. And we have a couple blog writers to use their mind, to express themselves, to get themselves out there, and we're gonna pay them for that. So that's that. With the New Brunswick Education Department, we've really been working to change the curriculum to specifically give all students, and especially Black students, a better sense of confidence through knowing more about who they are, not just for Black History Month, but all year round. We're trying to incorporate Black history into Canadian history, because Black history is literally just Canadian history. You know, we're trying to teach for all levels from K to 12, giving the tools to talk more about Black joy, more about Africa, more about the Black diaspora, success and accomplishment. Because traditionally throughout Canada, it's really been Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, and those two people made amazing contributions to the world, especially in America. But we want it to be more about that. We don't want it to be just about the enslaved. We want people who Black people who have a rich heritage of being here for hundreds of years, to know that their legacy, their ancestry did not start with being enslaved in Canada. There's a rich diaspora of culture going back to the Western African countries they came from. So we work with the Conservative government, surprisingly, that they funded this program to I think we're in the final stages now to start rolling this out, that all teachers, especially in history and things like that, but in all fields, will be able to access this curriculum. I've already seen in my kids' schools, a lot of the books that are being sent home to kids, there are a lot more people of color, a lot more Black faces, and it's certainly helping to break down negative biases and stereotypes that people in places like Atlantic Canada have. That's a little bit about I'm keeping my eye on the clock, so that's just very little bit about what we're doing with education. And the last thing, to the parents in this group, I don't see many young people. Entrepreneurship, especially nowadays, is a great way to empower people. Working for other companies is great, but also if your kids have a dream, a goal, a passion, try to nurture that in them. And whether it's a small company that only has 2 or 3 employees, or they scale to a larger company like 50 or 100, there is a myth out there that most businesses fail. And that's simply not true. When you look at the statistics, the government measures a failed business as a business that didn't file its taxes and is not operating from year to year. But what that really means is, I've had numerous businesses, and if I stopped running one business, it doesn't mean that I failed. It means that I've moved on to something else. I've closed down a business for another reason. I've started something new up. All in all, I would say probably only 1 in 10 businesses fail. And so for any parents or youth out there that are thinking about going on their own, it's really scary. It does take a lot of work. But in these uncertain times, with the huge amount of disruption that is probably going to take place in the near future, we know that robots are going to replace a number of jobs. AI is going to replace a number of things. Hopefully not too much in the arts and creative content sector. But I'm just giving little tidbits of what I do, and entrepreneurship still remains a really viable option to creating a life of fulfillment and being able to do what you want. But Oletan will know this, I always advise people to, if you are going into entrepreneurship, don't sacrifice everything for it. Don't sacrifice your friends, your family, love, joy. Take time off. Take time off for you, take time off for your mental health, because in the end, you could die tomorrow, and there's nothing more important than our connections, our community, and the people we take care of in the world. So I hope I squeezed a bunch of little bits of what I wanted to say into the time that I had. I know I was a little bit all over the place. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them. If anyone wants to get involved or have children that want to get involved, we have English and French kids that are writing blogs for us and stuff like that. Just contact us, we can go from there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. The last line you really mentioned, literally, I have saved it. If you want to go into entrepreneurship, don't sacrifice everything for it. Live, love, carry everyone along. That is really a very, timely advice, and I'll take it on. We couldn't have youth on board because when you look at the time, they're still at school. And that's why we literally encourage parents, to attend this session and take this away. We have the recording. We're going to be sharing it with parents to also share it with their youth to watch as well. Do we have any question? I know we're just 1 minute to just get to the last. It's critical to understand holistic Black history. How can we learn more about these endeavors? That's for you, Clinton, from Bernie.
It's all online. Google is an amazing resource for Black history. If you wanted to learn more about Black history in New Brunswick, there is the New Brunswick Historical Society based out of St. John. They are really the authoritative group on that. There is an amazing short book called Blacks in New Brunswick. It's only about 60 pages, but it gives a really concise history of the rich culture. Bernie, I'm not sure where you're living, if you want to type that in, but it's a concise, rich culture of the roots and all the accomplishments of the Black people that lived here before us. You're in Toronto. The best resource is, this might sound so obvious, but I would say just type into your browser like Black Historical Ontario Organizations, or Black Historical, Black History Toronto, Black History Canada, or even African Heritage Month is another good search to go by. I don't have specific links, but it's certainly all there.
Okay, any other question, please? I would also want people to follow Black Atlantic to see all that they do. They are helping to rewrite the narratives. They bring a lot of issues. They cover all Blacks across the Atlantic, and that's where their name stems from. Even the co-founder, Hilary, as well. I think she has a segment on CBC where she tries to shed light on so many things. Please, I think I put yes, thank you. So please follow, and let's see how we can all collaborate together. There is no need for duplication of efforts. There is no need, to be running around in circles, doing the same thing, in small bits. Let's all come together, share ideas and all that. Any other question before we close today? Any other inputs from attendees, please? Can we just in the chat box share, your takeaway from this session today, what you think, and what other ways do you think we in New Brunswick can actually be part of that change to rewrite the narratives to encourage our youth? Please leave just one word. What do you think about this session that we had today? Thank you. Go ahead, Coyote, please. Your turn. Unmute, please.
Hi, great to be here. Great job, Benny, Faith, and Hillary. Yeah,
Clinton. Yes.
Yeah, I remember meeting Clinton some times ago, and for the great job, yeah, you guys are doing. My name is Coyote, and glad to be here. For the great job that we are doing and looking towards building and raising a future of children that we appreciate the good works of their parents. I think the parents too need to have a good knowledge, the right information that will help them in solving this. From our background as people, we like to guide our children. We like to give them the best of knowledge. Just like Faith said, it's not just about money. It's about how you are able to, it's what you leave inside your children, not what you leave for them first. So all that have been said now will depend on the parents, how they can, guide them. So we still need to furthermore empower the parents, try to encourage them to get this right information. I remember that from 2018 that we've been here, we have been about this cadet understanding of people who are coming from, Black generally. But surprisingly, not many has yielded to that. And there are a lot of things that they can gain from cadets. Confidence, understanding, traveling. They can get scholarships from there. So many things that can develop us, but the information are right out there. Many parents are not giving heed to it. We run after our jobs. We run after everything that can make us to just get this money enough. But I don't think that is something that I don't think we are really getting it right in that way. So please, this body, as much as possible, we can be there to encourage parents that look, as much as this information are available, you are the vehicle that will help them in appreciating and moving towards them as much as possible. thank you for everything that you've been doing, Oye, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. As much as I've already put my closing speech in the chart, I just want to reiterate that the BBPN New Brunswick will continue to work with organizations like ACIC and then fellow community organizations towards that shared goal, the common unifying goal of empowering our youth in leadership, business, and careers, focusing on STEM, media, communication, community advocacy, as even entrepreneurship like we had last week, project management. We believe that education and empowerment of our youth are pretty much critical to creating a just and equitable society by providing them with the tools and resources that they need to be the architect of their own fortune. Once again, I would like to thank the Atlantic Council of International Cooperation and Global Affairs Canada for their support and sponsorship, and to all of our speakers that have attended and the attendees that have been present from February 10th up until today. We now call on you, our fellow community organizations, even individuals, to take time to focus, to also contribute from the confine of their home, their comfort zone, even just taking a lead, picking up a phone, telling somebody about a program that is ongoing, and also sharing some of this information with people. We make our Black youth especially to get this empowerment they need to reach their full potential. Together, we can make this happen, and we can create a more inclusive and equitable society, so that the commitment of the United Nations on Sustainable Development Goal number 17 will actually begins with us as parents, as champions of making our youth to be empowered even from our home. Please, once we release the recording, I would love that you share with your children so that they can hear from our mentors and they can also take steps to enroll in the Rising Star projects and every other project that is happening around us. On this note, we draw the curtain and we say thank you for joining us. Until we come back again, maybe some other time for other events, we want to say, in the words of Clinton, do not sacrifice everything for entrepreneurship, as we all know that the world is tilting to an era where entrepreneurship might be the sustainable idea for a global economic development. As we try to go into entrepreneurship, do not sacrifice everything for entrepreneurship. Live love, carry everyone along, your friends, your loved ones, because you will need them to go through and scale through and sail through the journey of the up and down in entrepreneurship. Thank you so much, everyone. I look forward to having you around and see you around sometime soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.